Good afternoon. Thank you all so much, the media, all of you all, for being here. This is important to this family. I am attorney Zenobia Waters. I am the attorney that represents the family of Leiden Boykins, the 12-year-old child that died on September the 10th, 2021, because the police decided to do a pit maneuver on a vehicle that they absolutely knew children was in. It caused that vehicle to flip, and it caused that child's life. We are here today because the agencies, the Georgia State Troopers, Paulding County Sheriff Department, have refused to be transparent. They have refused to give this family any information and to hold those folk accountable who are responsible for the death of this 12-year-old child. I am here with the parents of Leiden Boykins, Mr. Anthony Boykins and Ms. Tony Boykins. I am here with the community of Leiden Boykins, who he was friends with, classmates with, and his life was just taken way too soon. On September the 10th, 2021, he was riding in a vehicle with his friends, next door neighbors, when the police pulled that vehicle over. They will have you to believe that the driver of the vehicle had some issues going on and refused to stop and just went on a high-speed chase. That's not what happened. What really happened is he pulled the vehicle over after the lights of the Georgia State Trooper came upon him. He stopped. He refused to roll his window completely down and talk to the officers through the window. He felt that they were being aggressive, the state trooper was, and that he asked for a supervisor. Supervisor never shows up, but Paulding County Sheriff did show up. And when they showed up, according to the reports that we do have, officer from the Paulding County Sheriff Department, I believe that was Officer Myers. And now they didn't give us this information. We had to go dig for this information. And Officer Z. Wiz of Paulding County Sheriff Department showed up on that scene. Myers commenced to break in the window of the vehicle on the driver's side. That is when Mr. Moore pulled off. They had already observed the passengers in that vehicle, a 14-year-old child and a 12-year-old child, and that driver. And at that point, when he pulled off, they commenced to chasing him. He was on the phone, and I know that you all have probably heard that 911 tape when he was saying, "Look, I fear for my life. I have children in the vehicle." And those officers decided that they were going to still perform a pit maneuver. State Trooper Peterson, Sheriff Officer Deputy Myers, and Wicks, W-I-Z, Wicks, performed pit maneuvers. Not once. They attempted to do it by Paulding County Sheriff Department, attempted the first pit maneuver. And when that wasn't successful, then the Georgia State Trooper performed the second pit maneuver that caused that vehicle to flip and that child to die. We want those officers charged with the murder of Leiden Boykins. The district attorney needs to charge them with the murder of Leiden Boykins. He was an innocent child. When do we start killing children? When do the police start doing things that are going to be egregious such that a child will die at their hands? And we don't have accountability. They have not been held to account. The departments are not being transparent. We have asked for the dash cams. We've asked for the body cams. We've asked for the police reports. We've asked for all reports from the coroner, from the hospital, from the GBI, and they have refused to give us any information. We are asking for transparency, and we're asking for those officers who was involved in this pit maneuver that caused Leadon Boykins, a 12-year-old child, his life, to be held to account. That's what we're asking for. And so I'm going to step aside as the attorney for this family and allow Ms. Shar Bates to speak to you in more detail.
Hello. As she said, I go by the name Shar Bates, also known as Malcolm Luther Queen. I'm a community advocate and a mother first. As a black person, no matter the amount of money that you make, no matter your educational background, no matter your stature, when a police gets behind you, your heartbeat rises. Why is that? It's because of the continuous history of the slave catcher mentality that police do when interacting with black people versus the protect and serve mentality that they have been trained to do when they're dealing with Caucasians. It's not right, and it's not okay. We just came out of a civil unrest, and this is still happening. Right now, Officers Unc Myers, Officer Z. Wicks, State Trooper David Peterson is literally still on the force. We have not heard anything about a suspension. We have not heard anything about a time off or anything. They're still out there right now. They could be pulling people over and harassing them the same as they did that day. Is it a problem to question a police officer or just ask them anything? Or are we supposed to just continue, are we supposed to act like slaves and just do whatever they say at any given moment? Because that's not the interactions that happen if your complexion is lighter. According to the Paulding County Police Officers report, as Attorney Waters already stated, it was not just one pit maneuver, but two. And I read on a news report where they said, oh, we didn't know children were in the car. We just seen a large figure. Why is that? It's because black children are not valued the same way as white children. Why is that? You're saying that you didn't know any children were in the car, but in their own report, according to Paulding County Officer Unc Myers' report, they said, and I quote, that they were observing all the occupants in the vehicle before they even burst the windows out. And for anyone questioning what happened, no one out here can say how they would feel or how scared they would be at 1 o'clock in the morning being pulled over when you ask for a supervisor, and instead of receiving a supervisor, your windows are burst out. Is it against the law to ask for a supervisor? Is it against the law to not roll your window all the way down? Is it against the law to perform a pit maneuver while children are in the car knowingly? At what point does this stop happening? Do our black children matter or not? Do children matter? Because it's not even just black children that this is happening to, but it happens a lot more often to our black children. At what point do our children stop being sacrificed for police's ego? We need justice for Leadon now.
Yes. Yes.
We need justice for Leadon now.
Yes.
Justice for Leadon! Justice for Leadon!
I just want to say, when a 12-year-old, had it been one of their 12-year-old children killed in this incident, they would not accept pending further investigation as an appropriate answer 5 months later. 5 months later, I still don't know who the person is that identified my 12-year-old son's body. Pending further investigation is not an appropriate answer. Thank you all for coming out. Would you like to speak?
I would just like to say also, when we learned about Leadon's death from our neighbor's wife, and we came home because we were at a funeral up north, it took us 4 days to find his body. They gave us the runaround back and forth to say the coroner had the body, and then it was like GBI had the body, and this went back and forth until we got an attorney on Monday, and she found where our baby was, and we viewed his body at 8:30 p.m. on Monday night when he passed on September 10th between the hours of 1 and 1:30.
We want everybody involved held accountable. Not just one person, not just the person that they think. We want everybody involved held accountable. I'm not a side taker. I'm not choosing sides. I want everybody involved held responsible for their actions and what took place that killed my son. Thank you.
With that said, as an attorney for this family, I'm asking you all, the media, to not just let this die. For 5 months, we've been trying to get a story to tell their story about what happened to their child. I'm asking you all to please not let this just die. It is an important information. It is important for the community to know. Each day I hear people saying, I didn't hear anything about this case. My colleagues have no idea what happened to Leiden. Most of the community around here does not know that a 12-year-old child died at the hands of the police. It's not right, it's not just, it's not fair. And if you all don't keep the story going, then what can we expect from officers? What can we really expect? We're not asking them to do no more than or no less. Just do the right thing. They knew that their child was in that vehicle, and that child would be alive but for that pit maneuver.
And they should be held accountable.
And they have to be held, absolutely should be held accountable for their actions. And I'll take any questions if anyone has questions.
What would you want the community to know about your son, and what do you miss the most about your son?
Great kid.
Like,
My son was a great kid. He was a loving kid. The community know that about him. He was everywhere. He left his mark on Paulding County. I just miss him.
Sure.
Leiden was a rising star, and we miss his presence. When Leiden entered the room, he was the brightest light in the room. He couldn't sneak in a room. He was always pleasant, beautiful, and he kept you laughing. Every area of his life was stellar. His grades, his sports, he played every sport imaginable, and he rallied the community. Those children in that community are still not whole, nor are we. And we demand justice for Leiden.
According to the Georgia State Patrol's procedures in terms of chases and same thing with Paulding County, have you all received any information about that when that procedure was violated?
We did not receive it from them, but as a lawyer, I know what those procedures are. I have the book. Whenever children are in the vehicle, they are not supposed to perform a pit maneuver. That's their own policy. It should not have happened. So we do have that policy.
do you think it's time to end the practice of law enforcement to end pit maneuvers because it causes things like
Absolutely. If a vehicle is traveling 20 miles an hour and you do a pit maneuver, the likelihood, and they know this, the studies are there. They know that the likelihood is that vehicle is going to flip. And if it flips, what do you think is going to happen to the occupants in that vehicle, right? They're likely going to get seriously injured or they're going to die, as did Leiden. So yes, that maneuver should not be happening.
Isn't it banned in like 48 states?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. The investigators have never, no one ever came to the family home to even tell them that their child had passed away or was involved in an accident. They didn't find out from the police. They didn't find out from the sheriff. They didn't find out from the Georgia State Trooper. They found out from their neighbors. And to this day, those agencies have refused to release information to me, the attorney, about what happened. I've been plowing through, grabbing for any information that we can find out. The what's going on. We don't know anything about what the officers, if they were suspended or what's going on. They just not have been transparent with regards to this incident.
They're holding a 12-year-old kid's cell phone for evidence, for Christ's sake. He's not a criminal. He wasn't driving.
Come over
the
to
car.
the mic. Come over to the mic.
Why would his belongings not be released to his family?
Was he making the 911 call?
According to the reports, the 911 call came from the young man in the front seat.
So there was a 14-year-old child that was in the vehicle as well. There was the driver, and then there was 12-year-old Eden. So we believe that it might have been the 14-year-old phone, but we don't know because they haven't released any of that information.
But you look up the percentage of survival rate during the pit maneuver, it's not very well. So when they decided that they was going to do that pit maneuver, they knew that they were going to endanger somebody's life, and they knew that there were children in the vehicle. So at that point, they determined that they were the judge and jury for whatever the situation was at the moment. And that shouldn't be. And the only way to stop it is to hold them accountable. You got to hold them accountable at the moment they commit a crime. You can't wait till later on.
Is the interim district attorney of Paulding County refusing to meet with you all?
We haven't heard from him yet. He has not. He is
reached out to you at all?
not at all. Not at all.
Nobody's reached out to us.
And the district attorney here in Paulding County should do his job. If this was just a regular lay person who had done something in the community that is of this violence where someone lost their life, then he would be out there trying to prosecute that person. Why are he not doing that? Why is he not doing that for these officers? We don't have any information, and we know for a fact that they have not been held accountable at all to this point.
So we're asking that the interim district attorney of Paulding County reach out to you and the family to be transparent, to give you the information that you need to make sure that this case is prosecuted in a fair and transparent way.
Absolutely, absolutely. We know that they have charged the driver of the vehicle, but no one else has been charged. Yes, they need to be transparent. Isn't that what the community demand? Isn't that what we demand? Isn't that what we want? When you're transparent, then you're not hiding anything. Then all the information comes out. Then justice can be served. We shouldn't have to go digging for the truth. It's unfair to this family.
It's unfair to lead it.
Definitely unfair to leave.
What would you say to the people who say, look, this is the driver's fault for failing to comply and driving drunk?
Well, I say to them that, first of all, the driver did stop. Secondly, when do cops start breaking the windows of someone's car because they don't roll the window down? And thirdly, when he pulled off, why was it necessary to do a pit maneuver? So yes, the driver is accountable for what he did. Absolutely. We're not taking that away. But aren't the officers who are more trained responsible when they do something that jeopardizes a child's life? They knew the child was in the vehicle. So absolutely.
And once you know a kid is in the vehicle, how do you know the kid is not in danger? Did you not try to investigate to save these kids? You
And
determined you was finna do something. You had your mind made up you was finna do something. You were mad.
And also, if they're saying that he was drunk, what was the levels?
What's the toxicology report?
We don't have any information at this point. We're asking for transparency. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I have one question on background as well. Do you know where the driver was going with the children?
Yes.
It was 1 o'clock in the morning. Where were they going?
The driver had a job that evening cleaning up parking lots in the strip mall. He took the children with him to clean up the parking lot. That was a little job that he had. They were on their way home. As a matter of fact, that evening when they finished up cleaning that parking lot, Leadon called his grandmother. And he says, Grandma, we finished, we're on our way home. She sat on the steps in the house in front of that front door, waiting for Leadon to come home. Leadon never made it home. They were just doing what kids would do with their parents. They went to help him work. And now he's dead. Think about that. I'm a mom. I can't imagine it. We want accountability. Any other questions? We appreciate. I'm, I'm sorry.
Should have the parents give their full name.
The parent's name, Anthony Boykins, Boykins, Tony Boykins, Boykins.
Your name, ma'am, one more time.
I'm sorry.
Your name as well, one more
I am attorney Zenobia Waters, Waters.
Just one more question for you.
Yes.
I know it's cold.
It is.
What would you like for the Paulding County public, the citizens of Paulding County to do to assist getting the information out? Would you like for them to call the district attorney, call?
Yes, we want them to.
How can the public help you?
Yes, make calls, write letters, demand that they be transparent. Keep calling. We need help. We need transparency. And until the officials are held to do their job, they're just simply not going to do that. So yes, we want the public to get involved. And the first step is to let the public know that this actually happened, right? So yes, we want them to be involved.
I'm the aunt.
And this is Leland's aunt,
C.C. Rogers.
C.C. Rogers, Rogers.
How do you spell your first name, ma'am?
C-E-C-I.
We thank you again for coming out, and please don't let this story die. This child life matter. Our kids' lives matter. All kids' lives matter.
Can we have one more? We have one more speaker,
Oh.
Councilman Mark Baker.
Mr. Baker, come on. Yes, please. Thank you for coming out.
I'll be real brief. My name is Dr. Mark Baker, and I do represent South Fulton, city of South Fulton, and we all watched this story when it happened. And many of us thought that everything had been handled and people were held accountable and the government was being transparent. And I'm here to support the family. We met last week and spoke to the mother, and it's like, no problem is a problem until it's our problem. So for the people at home and the people who know about this, we need everybody to act as if this was our child. I have a 14-year-old child. So you would want justice for your child. You would want transparency. You would want accountability. There were people asking questions about the driver and, what his levels were or where were they going. None of that matters. None of that matters. We just need, professionalism is essential at all times. And we just expect transparency for law enforcement officers and our government in general. Thanks.